The whisper that waited. There are places where the sky feels heavier. Not because of clouds or pressure, but because something or someone is watching. Adrian Hale never believed in signs. He believed in measurements, in data, in logic. He had worked 15 years as an aviation systems engineer, primarily for the FAA, and spent most of that time debunking UFO reports from anxious pilots and drunken witnesses. His motto was simple: people see what they want to see. But 2 weeks ago, a radar anomaly over southern Nevada changed everything. An entire fleet of commercial aircraft had been forced to reroute. Tower communications scrambled. Military scrambled. And then silence. 3 jets F-16s were dispatched. Only 2 returned. Adrian reviewed the black box data himself. And what he heard was not static. It was breathing. At first, he thought it was a glitch. But the sound persisted for 13 seconds, followed by a voice garbled but unmistakably human. A whisper looping. The sky listens. He tried to report it. His supervisor dismissed it as radio blee. But then came the message.
You need to stop digging, Mr. Hale.
An anonymous voicemail. No trace. No caller ID. That night he couldn't sleep. The whisper haunted him, weaving itself into the creaking walls of his apartment, into the events, into the static of the old radio he forgot to unplug. The next morning, his neighbor's dog stared at him through the hallway window. Stared for almost an hour. Not barking. Not blinking. Adrian left the city the following day. Took a sabbatical. Nobody questioned him. Nobody even tried to stop him. He drove west. Past Boster. Past Baker. Into the vast openness of the Mojave. And there, amid a cluster of rusted satellite dishes and torn down fencing, he found it. A forgotten weather station. Decommissioned. Officially inactive since 2007. Unofficially, still drawing power. The door was slightly ajar. Dust layered every console like dead skin. But the equipment was humming barely like a breath before scream. He turned on the main terminal. Static. Then coordinates. They updated every 6 seconds. But it wasn't pointing to any known satellite. Not to any weather pattern. Not even to Earth. Adrian traced the path. Every dot, every pulse, every flicker. It formed a shape. A perfect circle. Orbiting nothing. Except his exact location. Then a whisper returned. Not from the radio. Not from the console. But from inside his head.
You shouldn't be here, Adrian.
He spun around. No one. He backed away from the desk, reached for his phone instead. No signal. No GPS. No time. The screen blinked once. Twice. And then displayed a single line.
Transmission begins in 47 hours.
Adrian stared at the word pulsing on the screen. Transmission begins in 47 hours. No explanation. No signal. Just a countdown. He checked the console again. Still warm. Still active. But connected to nothing. There were no satellite dishes left upright. No antennae. Just rust. Dust. Silence. He tried tracing the wires. Most had been chewed through by time or rodents. But one thick black cable snaked beneath the floor straight toward a hatch beneath the main panel. He pried it open. Stale air rushed out, carrying with it the smell of ozone. And something older. A ladder descended into darkness. He hesitated, then climbed down. It was colder underground. The walls were narrow concrete, not metal. Old and marked. His flashlight flickered once. Twice. Then stabilized. At the base of the ladder, a narrow tunnel stretched out, lined with broken bulbs and frayed warning signs in languages he didn't recognize. But one symbol kept repeating, a circle split down the center, with jagged lines radiating outward like a broken halo. After 15 minutes of walking, he found the door. Still. Unmarked. Sealed with a biometric pad. That blinked green the moment he touched it. It shouldn't have. He wasn't authorized. He wasn't even supposed to know this place existed. Inside, a dome-shaped chamber. Walls lined with black glass panels. And in the center, a chair. No, not a chair. A cradle. Wired. Strapped. Waiting. The floor beneath it was etched with the same symbol, the broken halo. He stepped closer. One of the screens lit up. It displayed a waveform, identical to the one from the black box recording. The whisper returned.
It time bends in listening places, Adrian.
He stumbled back. His head throbbed not with pain, but with pressure. As if something were trying to push thoughts into his skull. He turned to leave, but the door was gone. What had never been there? The walls shimmered slightly, like heat haze or static. Then the lights dimmed. A low hum filled the space, vibrating the air. The panels, his teeth. A new screen flickered on. This one showed the stars. Only, they weren't T-mapped to any known constellations. A blinking dot appeared in the lower right. Then another. Then another. They were closing in. Suddenly, the cradle moved. It turned toward him, opened slightly.
Sit down.
Adrian backed away only to find himself already sitting. He couldn't recall moving. The straps tightened. And then the countdown appeared above him.
Transmission begins in 46 hours.
Adrian's breathing grew shallower. His fingers twitched against the cold restraints. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. The screen above him blinked again. New words appeared.
Sequence calibration 4%. Neural compliance pending. Cognitive lock initializing.
He felt something tingling at the base of his skull, like ice creeping into his spine. Then, a flash. He was standing in his apartment. It was daytime. Everything looked normal, but the sky outside was the wrong color, a sickly shade of rust, like dried blood under a microscope. The dog of the neighbor's dog was staring at him again, but this time from inside his kitchen. Its mouth opened, too wide, and a voice came out.
Return, Adrian. You were never supposed to remember.
He stumbled backward. The floor pulsed beneath his feet. The walls began to shimmer like they were underwater. Then everything collapsed inward, a vacuum of light and sound pulling him through. And he was back, in the cradle. Hanton. The screen now read, sequence calibration 19%. The hum grew louder, a frequency buried beneath the range of normal hearing. But his body felt it. Every bone, every nerve, vibrating. Then a face appeared on the glass in front of him. Not reflected, projected.
You touched the signal, Adrian. Now the signal touches back.
He didn't recognize the face. And yet, it knew him. He tried to speak. The words caught in his throat. His vision blurred, not from tears, but from something sliding over his eyes. A thin film, like a second eyelid. Images flooded his mind. Not memories. Downloads. Nuts. Symbols. Machines. He saw cities carved into stone on moons with no names. Languages without vowels. Voices speaking in fractals. He screamed. And this time, the sound escaped. It echoed around the dome, bounced back and distorted. Because it wasn't his voice anymore.
Transmission begins in 45 hours.
Adrian collapsed forward, the restraints loosening around his arms with a hiss. He fell to the floor, cold metal kissing his cheek. He didn't know how long he had been in the cradle. Minutes? Hours? More. The dome above him was pulsing, not with light, but with rhythm. Like a heart. Light breath. He staggered to his feet, his legs numb, his balance gone. The moment he stepped away from the cradle, the screen behind him went dark. He reached the edge of the room, ran his hands along the smooth walls. No door. No seams. Nothing. He was sealed in. Buried. Forgotten. Then a crackling sound. Soft. Like an old vinyl record just before the music begins.
You came to listen, Adrian. Now you must remember.
He clutched his head. The voice was inside again. Not like before. Not a whisper. A memory. He saw a corridor. Not from Earth. Smooth black stone. Walls that breathed. Symbols that rearranged themselves when looked at directly. He was walking. Not alone. Others beside him, tall, thin, cloaked in rippling shadows. No faces. Just presence. At the end of the corridor, a sphere. Not metal. Not stone. Something in between. It pulsed in time with his heartbeat. And from it a single note. Endless. Resonant. So pure it hurt.
The signal is not sound. It is memory. It is intention.
Adrian screamed again, but not from pain. From understanding. His hand shook. He looked down, they were glowing. Not metaphorically. Not imagined. Glowing. From beneath the skin. Veins of light. Curling like circuitry through his flesh. The walls began to move. Not physically. They adjusted. Were focused. One panel lit up again, this time a video feed. A live view. From space. Earth far below. But something was approaching. That.
Return the signal, or they will complete it.
He turned. The cradle behind him now glowed with the same veins of light as his arms. A new countdown appeared above it.
Transmission begins in 44 hours.
Adrian stepped back from the screen, his chest heaving. The Earth that looked so small now. So breakable. The object approaching from the void wasn't a ship. Not exactly. It had no lights. No structure. It was more like a distortion. A ripple in space itself. A wound in the sky. He felt it. Not just saw it. He felt it. A pressure behind his eyes. A pull. Like gravity, but personal. Another panel lit up beside him. A waveform danced across it, chaotic at first, then aligning it perfectly with his heartbeat. His thoughts grew louder. He could hear them now. Not just his own, others. Echoes. Whispers. Familiar yet alien.
The signal isn't sent through airwaves, Adrian. It is carried by minds.
He clutched his temples. His memories blurred, shuffled like pages in a burning book. He remembered his father. Or someone else as father. Standing in a field under a rust-colored sky. He remembered falling from a tower of glass that hadn't yet been built. He remembered drowning on a planet made of wind. He remembered everything. And then nothing. Darkness. A heartbeat. Not his. He opened his eyes. The dome was gone. He was lying on grass. Night sky above him, but filled with unfamiliar stars. Wind moved through tall reeds. The air smelled of copper and ozone. A soft hum pulsed from the horizon. He stood slowly, his body somehow lighter, fluid. And he saw it. A figure standing a few meters away. Its form shifted as if made of mist and memory. No face, just a blur where identity should be.
You are the antenna now.
Adrian tried to respond, but his mouth wouldn't form words. The figure stepped forward. The ground didn't react. Its weight wasn't real. Or maybe too real to measure.
We broadcast through what listens. And you, Adrian Hale, have always listened.
The wind rose suddenly, not around him, but inside him. Thoughts began to stretch. Elongate. Spiral. A storm of language he'd never spoken erupted in his chest, and something inside him answered. He dropped to his knees, gasping. The figure pointed skyward. There through the rust-colored clouds a shadow moved. Not a ship. Not structure. A concept. Taking form.
Transmission begins in 43 hours.
Adrian woke up screaming. He was back. Back in the dome. Back in his body. But everything felt looser. Like his skin didn't quite belong to him anymore. Like the air was moving through him instead of around him. The cradle glowed behind him. The countdown ticked. 42 hours remaining. He stared at his hands again. The light inside him wasn't fading. If anything, it was getting stronger. The patterns had changed. No longer just lines, now they formed symbols. Geometries. Somehow familiar. Like dreams half remembered. The console blinked on, this time unprompted. A map. Points of light across the globe. Dozens. Then hundreds. Then thousands.
Others have heard. Some are waking. Some resist. Some fracture.
He zoomed in on one of the blinking points, a woman in Tokyo screaming on a subway platform, her voice matching the waveform of the signal. A man in Nairobi drawing complex shapes on a wall with his own blood. Children in rural Canada sitting in a circle in perfect silence. Eyes glowing faintly blue. The signal was global now. Not a message of migration. He stumbled backward from the console, his breath short. He had to stop it. He had to. The lights flickered. A new voice echoed inside the dome. Not the calm, guiding tone he'd heard before. This one was raw. Anicked. Human. Speaker ID P134 Adrian Hale, this is Captain Mayor of the 318th Recon. You are in restricted aerospace. Respond immediately or we will intervene. He froze. Real voices. Real contact. He wasn't hallucinating. He rushed to the cradle. No interface. No comms panel. Nothing. Speaker ID P134 we see. You re-emitting a Class E waveform. Our instruments are interfering. You have 30 seconds to comply. The dome shook. Just slightly. Like thunder under the floor. Something was approaching fast. Adrian reached out to the console again. Nothing. Dead. He looked up. The walls, they were fading, becoming translucent. He saw sky. He saw the distant glint of missiles. In perfect formation.
They will not silence the signal.
Adrian dropped to the floor. The light in his arm surged. He screamed, but the sound wasn't his own. A burst of harmonic resonance exploded from his body. A wave of shimmering force spread across the dome. Upward. Outward. The missiles stopped midair. Just froze. Then slowly they turned. One began to fall. The other disintegrated. Adrian collapsed.
Transmission begins in 41 hours.
Adrian lay motionless. The dome pulsed with slow light as if breathing around him. He wasn't sure how long he'd been unconscious. The air had changed. Thicker. Warm. Charged. He sat up. His veins glowed beneath his skin, not with one color, but many. Languages he had never studied whispered across his mind. Mathematics folded in on itself. Physics became suggestion. He understood what was coming now. Not a message. Not an invasion. A resonance cascade.
We do not arrive. We emerge.
The dome retracted and not opened or retracted. As if the material had grown tired of holding shape. Above, the sky shimmered. A halo of impossible geometry hung high in the atmosphere. Then, movement. Not one figure. Dozens. Shapes descended in silence. Some humanoid. Others not. Each of them glowing. Changing. One landed near him. Tall. Slender. Eyes like collapsed stars. It spoke but not aloud. Speaker ID P12 135, we've waited for you, hail. You resisted longest. That makes you anchor point. Adrian tried to step back, but his body no longer obeyed fear. He saw the others now not just around the crater, but across the world. Flickering images appeared before his eyes. The pattern was here. It had spread, and it wasn't done. Then his earpiece crackled. A voice. Old. Broken. Speaker ID P12 136 hailed at S-Doctor Evan Merck. If you're hearing this, you're at the convergence node. Listen to me. They did this to me too. In 98. Greenland. The first cradle. Speaker ID P12 136, I thought I was helping. I thought I could hold them. But the signal doesn't use your mind. It becomes it. Adrian S. knees buckled. Speaker ID P12 136, they don't invade. They synchronize. And once critical mass is reached, they overwrite reality itself. The sky pulsed again. The countdown read 42:16. 40 hours. Just over a day and a half. He turned to the glowing figures. They watched him with expressions that were not expressions. Faces that adjusted to his expectations. Speaker ID P12 135, anchor point must decide. Symphony or silence. Adrian looked to the sky. He heard it again. That hum. Growing louder. Clear. And buried deep inside it. His own voice. The sky had changed. Not visibly, not yet, but Adrian felt it. A shift. A tension. Like the world was, waiting to exhale. The countdown glowed at the edge of his vision. 39, 21, 7. He tried to breathe, but every breath came with echoes. Not his own. Memories that weren't his. Futures that hadn't happened yet.
You resist. You fracture. And still you persist.
He screamed at the voice. What do you want from me? Silence. Then.
Decision.
His knees gave way. He dropped to the floor of the cradle. Hands glowing like coals under ice. His vision blurred and the world around him shifted. Not the dome. Not the sky. Reality itself. He stood in a different place. No cradle. No console. A childhood memory his father had studied. Books on the shelf. Rain tapping on the windows. But something was wrong. The titles were in languages he couldn't name. The rain fell upward. Then, a figure. His father? No. A mirror. Adrian looked into it and saw himself. Not as he was, but as he would become. Eyes glowing. Skin laced with starlight. A being no longer tethered to time. Speaker ID Pete 131. This is one outcome. Hail. You ascend. You become the bridge. You speak the signal with intention. Speaker ID Pete 131. But that choice is yours. He blinked and the vision shattered. Back in the dome. On his knees. Sweating. Shaken. Then the ground rumbled. He staggered to the edge. Looked out across the desert. Dozens of figures were approaching. Walking, crawling, floating. Each of them changed. Mocked. Connected. A woman near the front raised her hand. She had no mouth, but he heard her speak inside his head. Speaker ID Pete 432. We were drawn here by you. Speaker ID Pete 432. You amplified it. Speaker ID Pete 432. You are the code they need. He backed away. I didn't teach you this. I didn't ask to be. The sky flickered. The stars blinked out. Then a low tone began to rise. From the earth. From the air. From inside his bones. A frequency of endings.
A decision point in 38 hours.
Adrian didn't sleep. He couldn't. The hum was constant now. Every molecule of air vibrated. Every shadow curved toward him. Reality leaned in. The others the altered had made a circle around the cradle. Some sat. Some knelt. Some hovered inches off the ground, eyes shut, lips moving. But the hum rose from them. Through them. He touched the console. Its surface rippled under his fingers, responding to thought instead of pressure. A new voice, synthetic, flat, emerged from within. Speaker ID system sequence stable. Cradle integrity 92%. Anchor point active. Anchor point. He repeated it bitterly. The word felt like a chain. A memory surged up, not his own. Dr. Mech, younger. Standing at a different cradle. Snow outside. Aurora above. He was weeping. Speaker ID Pete 436. We opened it to listen. Not to respond. We were fools. Adrian snapped back. Another flicker, his mother, in their old apartment. Only not her. She turned. Eyes glowing. She mouthed to choose. Every part of him wanted to run. To break the machine. To end it all before it finalized. But he couldn't move. The altos were chanting now. But not with words. With harmonics. Pulses. The air trembled. And then, a shape descended. It wasn't a ship. Not a being. It was a concept. Structure that defied geometry. A waveform made visible. It hovered above the dome. A perfect ring of negative space. A hole in understanding. Then voices. Thousands. Millions. Speaker ID quiet. This is convergence. This is emergence. This is now. Adrian fell to his knees again. Eyes wide. Mouth open. A whisper filled his skull. Speaker ID core signal speak. And the waveform collapses. Steak. And all choices converge. He clenched his fists. He was the anchor. But even anchors can be pulled free. He rose. If I choose silence, he asked the air. Speaker ID core signal, then silence spreads. And if I answer? Speaker ID core signal, then all becomes the answer. He looked up at the ring in the sky. His lips parted. And the entire world held its breath. Avian stood in the cradle's hut. Alone but not. Silent but heard. The altar surrounded him in stillness. Eyes wide. Hands raised. Bodies humming like tuning forks. Above them, a negative ring pulsed once, then again. Speaker ID core signal speak. Collapsed the waveform. He could feel everything in the past, the choices that had forked and failed, the versions of himself that had broken, obeyed, run, fought. They all stood behind his eyes. All that remained was one decision. He whispered. Not a command. Not surrender. Not defiance. A word. His word. And now, the ring in the sky shuddered, folded inward. Then, collapse. The cradle vanished. The altar disintegrated into threads of light. The desert ceased to be a place. Only Adrian remained. And then everything returned. But changed. The room was familiar. His apartment. Books. Dust. Rain tapping on the glass. He turned. No dome. No countdown. No signal. His reflection stared back from the window. He wasn't glowing. He wasn't changed. Just a man. A man who had spoken. Then, a note on the desk. In his handwriting. He picked it up. It read, "The sky listens." It always did. You made the signal mean something. Not for them. For us. He smiled. Somewhere far beyond human sense, a tone echoed. Not of warning. Not of control. But resonance. Harmony. And the sky listened.